Hey, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Not too bad. Your eyebrows look great.
Thanks. Put a little brow powder on today for the first time in, I don't know, 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I'm relearning how to live in like this new world and not quite sure what I should or shouldn't be doing.
I say do what makes you feel good.
Yeah, haven't figured that out yet either.
Same.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good. Just was having some coffee, getting some work done. It's such a nice day, so I'm hanging out on my back deck and
Awesome.
yeah, trying to get moving. How about you?
I have been embracing my night owlness and like staying up until 2 a.m. and then just waking up when I want to and
Okay, I
also
like it.
having coffee and
Mhm.
yeah.
I
So
have like the biggest coffee mug ever. It's kind of a joke, but it's I'm drinking it multiple times a day, so it's fine.
Well, yeah, you got to live how you got to live now.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, let's get started because
Yeah.
we only have an hour before Instagram kicks us off.
Okay.
So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So I'm Kelsey Westbrook. I am one of the co-founders of Saving Sunny. We're a local nonprofit animal welfare agency here in Louisville. Um, we were founded in 2010, and we originally started out as a dog rescue to help animal victims of abuse and neglect and to rehome them and put them into foster homes and then adopt them out into loving homes. But about 5 years ago, and this has really picked up within the past couple of years, but we sort of shifted our mission into being more of a community outreach organization. We realized we were kind of trying to plug the hole at the wrong end of the ship. So we were in the position of taking dogs from the shelter system, putting them into foster homes, and then finding them new homes. Well, we started to reevaluate why can't we just keep the dogs from ever getting to the shelter in the first place? So, what kind of families are having to relinquish their pets? Why are they doing it? What are those reasons? And are there barriers in place that are keeping them from being able to keep their pets when they really want to? So we started kind of collecting a lot of data and evaluating those reasons why pets get relinquished to the shelter system and sort of started establishing programs so that we could bridge that gap and create those resources so that people who want to own pets have the resources to do so and they don't have to give them up due to financial hardship or living in a socially disenfranchised community or whatever that reason may be, language barriers or disabilities or not having the resources to get to a vet, all of those things that might make giving up your pet sort of a really tragic last resort, but something that you feel like you have to do to survive. So we decided, why don't we create some programs to help people keep pets in their homes rather than giving them up? And so that's when our Community Dog Resource Center was founded. We founded in May of 2014. So longer than 5 years, actually. Wow. Um, yeah, we basically opened a pet food bank. We started offering free spay neuter surgeries, flea and tick prevention, in-home behavior help because dog behavior and issues in the home can definitely be a reason why people give up their pets. So we started offering that and just solutions for people, and that could look like so many different things. It could be fence repair. It could be building a trolley system in someone's backyard if their dog, keeps getting out and they've been impounded by the city multiple times and they've had to, pay fines to get their pet out of the shelter. How can we make sure that pet doesn't get out of the yard? So all these things, we just started getting really creative and coming up with alternatives to make sure pets stay in their homes and make sure that um, we can keep promoting our mission of believing that everyone is deserving of the companionship of a pet if they want it.
Okay. So when you said that like in 2014 is when you started like the Community Dog Resource Center,
Mm-hmm.
was this like an aha moment where you're like, this is not just an issue of abuse and neglect and that it's really an issue with of resources? or was this kind of building up and you were seeing it, I guess, time and time again?
I think a little bit of both. We were writing grants at the time to try to, and we still do, to try to financially fund our organization. And one of the grants that we had applied for was from an organization called Best Friends Animal Society. And we attended their yearly sort of conference that happens in a different part of the nation every year. And I attended with our other co-founder, Maureen Keenan, a seminar by this woman named Kim Wolf. And she was actually a social worker in New York City. And she was also a pit bull owner. And she started this sort of program on a small scale where she was delivering pet food to people on like a bicycle with a trailer attached to it in Brooklyn. And she would bring her pit bull around in this little trailer with her. And it was super cool. But the organization was called Beyond Breed. And she was just telling stories of all these people that she was helping provide resources for. And it was definitely a blend of, you know, seeing people having to get to this tragic last resort moment of giving up their pets, and they really didn't want to, and they didn't feel like they had any other option. We did see that time and time again. And also attending that conference and hearing these stories of people that were disenfranchised and just didn't have, you know, they were living in resource deserts, and they, you know, would have to walk 40 blocks to get to the nearest veterinary office, and there was no low cost services available at all. And all these stories time and time again of people that would just do anything to take care of their pets, you know, but they might not have the resources or even just the information to be able to do so. So I think, to answer your question, it was a blend of both, seeing these things happen in our community and having that aha moment of attending that seminar and being like, wow, I think this is something we can really do in our community too.
All right. And actually, going back a little, can you tell us, I guess, why you started Saving Sunny and obviously who Sunny is?
Yeah, sure. Can you see me? I feel like it's getting really bright out here, and
Yeah, I can see you.
okay. So we founded Saving Sunny in 2010, like I said, we were working with animal victims of abuse and neglect, and Sunny was my dog. She was amazing. She passed away in 2016, unfortunately, but she lived an incredible life with us. She was actually thrown off the Clark Memorial Bridge by her former owner in summer of 2009. I was a server at Joe's Crab Shack at the time. And this happened on one of my shifts while I was working, and I ended up rescuing her that day. And it was kind of this whole thing that ended up in the news, and the media was involved, and I was threatened with eviction from my landlord because I took home a pit bull. And she was just this big charismatic force that kind of became a little bit of a sweetheart in our community. And so she was the namesake of our organization. And Maureen Keenan and I founded the organization January 2010 with some other folks, and started establishing our foster program to try to get dogs like Sunny out of the shelter and into loving foster homes and adopting them out, and sort of trying to dispel the stigma around pit bull dogs. Because at that time it was hard to own a pit bull in the community and beyond. Luckily, we haven't struggled here with what's called BSL, breed specific legislation. So it's pieces of legislation that keep individuals from owning certain breeds of dogs, which is prevalent in places like Denver, Miami. There's even some areas of Cincinnati that have suffered from it. There's some smaller communities in Kentucky that do have BSL, but luckily here in Louisville, we do not. But we do have, apartment complexes where they're not allowed, and certain breed restrictions and things like that. So there's always been kind of a negative stigma around the pit bull breed. And so that was one of our biggest missions in the beginning. And I think that we've been able to do a really good job with that, just by regular people in the community owning pit bull dogs and, having them out at events and doing all of our fun sort of community outreach programs where people can see that they're just like any other dog. So that was definitely one of the things that we started out trying to do. And, you know, we're still doing, but I think we've done a really good job of it. And there's a lot of other organizations in our community that are doing that too. And our municipal shelters as well, that really advocate, because they do make up a huge portion of our shelter system. So there's a lot of really great campaigns out there that are trying to show people that they're great dogs.
Okay. Yay, sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry. I came inside. I was having trouble seeing you, so my moving around might have had something to do with it.
Oh, no worries. I mean, I have been able to see you, but I couldn't hear you there for a second. So did you hear my last question? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. Do you mind repeating?
Okay. Yeah. So you had been talking about like the programs and services that Saving Sunny offers, and then you had mentioned grants and that you all like write grants and seek grants to be able to provide those services. But is there any other way that you fundraise?
Definitely. Yeah. I would say the community is how we raise our funds, through events. Grants are done kind of on a smaller scale for us right now. And our community events are something that we really value. And, you know, we sort of pride ourselves on doing these really cool, unique events. You were a part of one last year, and I know you've been to a couple. And it's a way that we can sort of maintain and be a part of our community and show that we're doing some really cool things and raise funds in a unique way. So that has definitely been a struggle to figure out what we're going to do next there with the COVID-19 pandemic, because we did have our fashion show coming up here in June. So we're not totally sure, you know, how that's going to look and what our climate is going to be like. And yeah, we're definitely going to have to pivot a little bit and see what things will be like. I think we're still planning on doing, you know, our organizing for the event behind the scenes, but we aren't sure what it's going to look like when the time comes.
Okay. Yeah. And any other projects, well, any other fundraisers that you foresee might be either canceled, rescheduled, or, you know, affected by mainly social distancing?
Yeah, I mean, that would be the biggest one, is our Passion Meets Fashion fundraiser that we do every year at Play with Blowfish. So that was supposed to be the first weekend in June. And then also our big flagship event is our Sunny Soul Fest, and that happens typically in October. We haven't set a hard date on that yet. But it's a big public event. We make it free every year. We want it to be totally ticketless so that everyone can join, and we have vendors from all over the community, local artists, other community organizations. We've got live music, food trucks. So that's definitely a tough place to social distance. So I think that can be a concern as well. I mean, all of our events, we're always like, everyone come out, you know, so I think that, you know, we might have to take a look at what this looks like in a social distancing world and how we can still accomplish our goals, you know, when things have to be done a little bit differently.
Sure. Yeah. And so, you know, with fundraising kind of being a question mark for at least the near future, and presumably there's more need now than ever. Like you were saying, a lot of people don't want to give up their pets, but it's a resource-based thing. And then you've got people losing their jobs, not having any income. Have you found that that is affecting people's ability to take care of their pets now more than usual?
I think so, definitely. I think it's a huge concern. A lot of so we operate our community dog resource center we're open the last Saturday of every month. So and we're in Beachmont at the Beachmont Community Center. So a lot of our clients that come monthly, they really, really depend on it. A lot of them are on fixed incomes. We've got a lot of retired veterans. And I think a lot of these people are folks that 100% need to be isolating right now. We know some of our folks are immunocompromised. So that was one of our biggest concerns when we, sort of realized that we weren't going to be able to host our community dog resource center at the end of March, and then at the end of April as well, and for the foreseeable future. You've got people that are already on fixed incomes, and then you have millions of people that are now out of a job. So our biggest thing is making sure, firstly, that our clients that have been coming to the resource center for a while are taken care of, and then also to spread the word about our services to the greater community as well. Folks that are just now like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do about my dog situation. So we started doing last weekend our community dog resource center on a delivery basis. So we basically asked our folks to reach out to us and fill out a quick survey. If they have already been coming to the CDRC, we have a lot of their information on file already. But we did a sort of a smaller scale run through of a contactless delivery of pet food and resources, and it went really well. It was just me and one other volunteer that day, but we have a couple of other volunteers that are going to get involved. And basically, we are opening our storage unit, get back in your car, let the volunteer know who they're getting food for, what size dog it is, how many dogs they have, so they know exactly how much food to get. They get that out of the storage unit, and then I get back out of my car again, so we never are in contact with each other, close the storage unit, and then they deliver without contact to that person's doorstep. They send that person a text and say, hey, so-and-so, your food is outside, so that they know it's there and they can go ahead and grab it. So we do want to be really proactive about making sure that the folks that have been coming to the CDRC and have been depending on us know that those services are still available, and then also make it known to the greater public who are just now sort of facing these concerns that our services are available as well.
Okay. I mean, that's amazing, to be able to then be flexible enough where people are still getting, food for their pets without having to worry about showing up at a place where there's going to be a lot of other people.
Definitely. Yeah. And we are a small organization. Our board of directors is 5 people, and we have a small group of volunteers. So it is going to be something that we have to sort of roll with the punches and see how many folks we can accommodate. But right now we've been doing a pretty good job of managing that, and making sure that the people that we've been serving know that these services are available, and that they don't even have to answer the door. They can give us a wave or not, and we'll leave it there totally contactless.
Right. And I assume the other stuff that you mentioned, like the spaying, neutering, behavioral services, those are on pause until we figure something else out.
So they have vet services are deemed essential right now. So vets are open, but they have recommended that spay neuter services are suspended at the moment. So I know the SNP clinic has closed, which is where we schedule folks for their free spay and neuter voucher, basically to preserve that personal protective equipment, masks and gloves for the doctors and nurses and healthcare workers that are on the front lines right now. So spay neuter services are not deemed essential at the moment. So anyone that has signed up for a free spay neuter voucher through us, we usually assign those to be 90 days valid. We're just extending that and making sure that when the SNP clinic does open, their voucher is still valid and they can use it then. It is a concern that their pet could get out and get impregnated or impregnate another dog or cat, and then you have another litter on your hands. So that's something that is out of our control at the moment. But hopefully folks will be hyper vigilant that do have an appointment or have a voucher with us, and make sure that their pets are safe and not being around unaltered pets right now. Because we definitely don't need any more pets in the shelter right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Or just like, in the next 2-3 months or however long the dog gestation period is.
Yes, for sure.
So any other challenges that you have come across as as we enter into basically the fourth week of quarantine?
Yeah, I will say that my biggest concern right now is making sure that our clients that don't have access to email, social media, or internet know that they can still obtain resources for us. So we're still coming up with alternative ways to make sure these folks know that. We've been in touch with our community center where we host the CDRC to make sure we can eventually just have signs in place if anyone does show up there, so they know the steps to take to get in touch with us. And we also, luckily, we do a really good job of tracking data, so we can reach out to some of these folks individually that we know come every single month and that we know really depend on us. That's one of the things that I love about our program, is that we develop relationships with our clients, and we love seeing them every month, and we worry about them when they don't come. So we know who those folks are, and I think we can be pretty proactive about reaching out to them and making sure they're doing okay and that they're met. But it does keep me at night a little bit, thinking about some of these folks and hoping that they have what they need and they know how to get in touch with us if they don't.
Right. Okay. What about fundraising? I mean, do you foresee that being a challenge, or are people hopefully being pretty generous?
I definitely see that being a challenge. But luckily we have had some folks reach out about donating food, and here soon we will be providing flea and tick prevention again, which is a preventative measure that people with pets we only supply that for dogs. We don't have cat flea and tick prevention unless we get it donated. So I do want to make that known in case anyone is watching at home and depends on us for that. Because we're getting into the warmer months, we really need folks to be proactive about flea and tick prevention, because if they aren't, it can lead to huge issues, especially when you're quarantined at home. You don't want a flea problem.
Gosh, yeah.
Not only because you just don't want that, but also because of the financial implications that come along with getting something like that taken care of. It's a lot to have to flea bomb your house and get everybody out of the house. Where are you going to go when you're quarantined? And what if you don't have anywhere else to go? So it's something that can just escalate really, really quickly, and also cause your pets to have bigger health issues like skin dermatitis, really bad itching problems leading to, it's just one of those things that escalates super quickly. So we want to make sure our folks have access to flea and tick prevention. So that is something that is definitely on our minds, I think, because it's a greater cost. A lot of times we can get our dog food, our pet food donated. We have an awesome partnership with our friends at the JB Ogle Animal Shelter, which is right across the bridge in Jeffersonville. So they get pallets of food that we have access to typically every month or every other month. So yeah, I mean, I'm concerned about fundraising because we really rely on our community events and some of our events that are ticketed to fund these things. Hopefully we'll keep spreading the word and make people know that, we really need them right now, because we want people to be able to keep their pets in their homes. I keep thinking about how grateful I am to have my 3 dogs right now. They're such an amazing, emotional support. So when we're going through these traumatic times and people really depend on their pets for that love and support, we don't want any of those folks to be in jeopardy of losing them.
Sure. Okay. So in terms of, somebody who want to donate, what is your greater need? Just money, or is it flea and tick medication? Is it food? What do you all need?
I would say money, number one, just because it's easier for us to purchase these things in bulk and at a nonprofit rate. But yeah, if anyone has flea and tick prevention or pet food lying around, we'll always accept that. Absolutely. And just reach out to us on our social medias or shoot us an email, and we can always arrange contactless pickup for that.
Okay. And you have a website as well?
We do. It's Saving Sunny, Sunny with a U, inc.org.
Okay. And, if somebody needs services right now, they didn't know about, the community, I forgot, CRDC? No, there's no D.
CDRC.
CDR. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you got it.
So if somebody needs those services, how would they get in touch with you to be able to get that?
You can hit us either one of our socials, Facebook or Instagram, or you can shoot us an email at those initials, cdrc@savingsunnyinc.org.
Okay, awesome. I'm going through my question list. Do you all have, if we end up being in quarantine for really like an extended period of time, more than like just a couple of months, do you all have any plans on how you'll be able to cope with that? How you have to change the organization to be able to meet people's needs as things seem to get more desperate?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we've talked about is setting up like a drive-through system for our CDRC and being able to use our community center parking lot for that. I do think that our goal is to minimize risk for everyone and keep everyone healthy and safe. But if the need grows to be too much for our volunteer base to handle to do the contactless delivery, that's something that we've talked about. Just setting up like a drive-through resource center. So I think that is a possibility. I think we're going to have to reach out to some of our grant partners and see if we can't start brainstorming on how we can pivot our programs and get some funding to keep pushing and make sure that people can keep pets in their homes. So I think it's going to look really different because our program is sort of based on being in the community and being around people and their pets. So it's something that seems crazy, but I think we've got to think about it.
Right. And I was taking a walk with my sister yesterday, and there was a couple of people walking their dogs. And at first, it seemed like they were not leashed, and it was pretty empty. So I could see why somebody would want to not have their dog on a leash. But my sister was like, dogs can be vectors. They can carry coronavirus, maybe not internally, but also like on their, like on their fur or something, and that it's possible to be passed from like human to dog to human.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I hadn't thought about before. So how do you potentially deal with those types of issues where, your volunteers or you might pick up coronavirus through someone's dog?
Yeah, and that's a great question. We had this question on our Instagram earlier, so I'm glad you brought that up. With this like tiger in New York testing positive and everything. So as of now, the CDC is saying that you cannot contract coronavirus from pets, but that there's been 2 to 3 companion animals, a cat, which is dogs or cats, a cat, 2 dogs, and a tiger now that have tested positive in the world. But yeah, we are going to continue to monitor just solely accredited sources on this. I think that, everyone should have their dogs leashed in a park regardless. That is the rules. And I know for me, one of my dogs she's good with other dogs, but she needs a proper introduction and she doesn't like to be bum rushed by another off-leash dog. So that's something that makes me really nervous. And, I'm a pretty experienced pet owner. So I don't think anyone should have their dogs off leash right now because A, you don't have control of your dog, and B, we're in a pandemic when your dog could run up to another person and then you have to make involuntary contact with that person when we're supposed to be socially distancing because you have to run over, get into their space, and get your dog. So the safest bet is just to apply social distancing to your pets as well. My dogs aren't going out and playing with other dogs right now. They're hanging out at home. My partner and I are taking them on walks into the park together, just us. And I think that's where we all need to draw the line and be socially responsible. And if there's more information that comes out about pets being carriers of that, then we need to, evaluate it and see if we need to even be going to parks at all. But I don't think we've gotten there yet. Everyone just needs to make sure they're following guidelines, and having your pets on a leash is not a new law.
Right.
It's something that everyone should be doing, unless you're at a dog park, and dog parks are closed right now. So, so don't get me on my tangent about it.
Well, these people ended up having both their dogs on leashes. We just couldn't tell from a distance. So,
Good.
yes, we were able to maintain basically 2 lanes of distance between all of us.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's really interesting. I hadn't thought about, just people, even dogs that are on leashes, and if you're walking them, getting close to other dogs and then having to kind of do that dance of like, stop fighting, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been there when dog leashes have gotten tangled up and whatnot, and it's not easy to maintain 6 feet or more of distance from another person in that scenario. So I think just totally avoid it as much as you can.
Right. Okay. Well, I think I have asked, actually, I want to go back a little bit. I mean, you started an organization to deal with abused and neglected pets, and kind of have moved into more, I guess, maintaining pets in their homes, obviously when they're not being abused or neglected. Have you heard any stories about sort of animals being cooped up in houses with people that are now more vulnerable to that abuse or neglect maybe they weren't before?
I can't say that I've heard more stories about that in this time. I could see how it would be, our pets feed off of our energy. So if we're more stressed, they're going to feel more stressed. So it doesn't surprise me that your pets might sort of exhibit negative behaviors in that scenario. But if you're talking about like particularly vulnerable pets, I think that the biggest vulnerability is, someone that it has recently become unemployed or is experiencing financial hardship due to this. The biggest question mark is that pet ending up in the shelter system. I can't speak to what is going on inside someone's home. If their pet isn't getting proper care, then that might be a situation that, they are being neglected or abused, and that is outside my personal realm of how I can get involved. That turns into a Louisville Metro Animal Services issue. So if someone does know about abuse or neglect, they should call LMAS for sure, and they can report that neglect, and someone will go out and check on it. That the municipal shelter is still open. I know that animal control officers are on limited hours right now to mitigate contact with other people. And they're only answering calls that fall under a certain level of emergency. But if someone does know about abuse or neglect that's going on, that's definitely who they should reach out to. But if someone is in the situation of their circumstances have changed and now they don't know if they're going to be able to keep their pets, that's when Saving Sunny can get involved and help provide those resources that they might need, or connect them. If we don't have it, we'll connect them to someone that does.
Okay. Are like the shelters, your organization still doing any fostering or adoption, or is that kind of on hold as well?
Yeah, shelters are definitely doing fostering and adoption. They're now limiting to appointment only, or they will simply find you the right match. I know this is what our friends at JV Ogle over in Jeffersonville have been doing. They'll find you the right match and bring them to your home. So you don't have to. That's one of my friends reached out to me and said, she's home now. She wants to foster a dog during this time. And I said, oh my gosh, amazing. And our friends from the shelter figured out what type of pet would be best for her. They found someone that was laid back, that she didn't have any other pets. So it could be a dog that wasn't going to be great to be placed in a home with another dog. He was a little bit dog selective, but he's an awesome, awesome dog.
and the shelter brought her her foster dog with everything she needed: food, leash, crate, everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so they made it so easy. It was awesome. And I think that Metro Animal Services here in Louisville is, I know that they're doing fostering. Their fostering programs are, don't quote me on this, but they can be as little as 2 or 3 weeks until that dog is ready to go over to Animal House, which is their adoption center. So even if yeah, I only have a couple weeks to give to this, you can still foster a pet during this time. So they're definitely still doing it. It's just on appointment based only, or they will bring the pet directly to you.
That's amazing. I hadn't thought about that, and I didn't know that. So hopefully people will use this time to kind of see if they can expand their house a little bit to new animals.
It's a great time for it. If you take home a pet, a lot of people say, I don't have time to train a dog, or I don't have time to do this or that. It's like, now's a really good time.
Exactly.
Got more time.
Yeah, you got nothing but time. Okay. Well, anything else you want people to know? Any other ways that people can help or get involved in any way?
Yeah, we have had a couple people, just as we've started to sort of slowly promote our contactless delivery, reach out and say, I'd be happy to do deliveries. So if anyone is interested in doing that and helping us, literally what you have to do is have a vehicle, and be willing to walk up some pet food and flea and tick prevention and leave it on a porch, no contact. Or, wherever the person denotes is the best place to leave it. Sometimes it's like inside an apartment door or whatever. So yeah, they can email us at cdrc@savingsunnyinc.org, and we would love to plug them in. And our volunteer coordinator, her name is Jessica Carner. She's absolutely amazing. She does a really great job of matching people with what would be perfect for their skill set. So even if you want to stay at home right now and not do the contactless delivery, we have work to do there too. So if you like data entry or, researching grants or anything like that, and you don't want to leave the comfort of your home, we can use help there as well.
Awesome. And I'll be able to hopefully post all of this, if it allows me to post on or to upload this on YouTube. So we'll have all of this contact information up there. But yeah, thank you so much for doing everything that you're doing. And it makes me feel really good that you all are still able to help out even during the most trying of times.
It's crazy out here, but I think it gives us a little bit of normalcy to still be able to find a way to, be a part of a community and give back and do what we can. So thank you for all that you do and for helping spread the word and having fun.
I have the easy work, which is just talking to people about what they're doing. So,
you're pretty good.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And hopefully you have a good week and we get some donations. So ideally that will help your work, not just during the pandemic, but into the future as well.
Definitely. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.